Hello everyone, I'm Baby B.
And I'm Daddy D.
And welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about the history of St. Patrick's Day. Do you guys know it?
I'm pretty sure you've heard of it. It's celebrated kind of all over the world. But before we get started, if you're watching this recording, then please go ahead and give us a subscribe, like this video, and share it so that people can hear about the history of St. Patrick's Day as well.
And we post a video or live stream every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
So if this is your first time seeing us, if you'd like to catch this live, catch us next week.
Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to be here
Maybe
next
not.
week.
Oh, no, next week we might have plans, but
yeah, that'll be the first break that we had since last year. But anyway, okay, so St. Patrick's Day is celebrated on March 17 every single year. It's the anniversary of St. Patrick's death. He was a real person. The Irish believed that, this guy kind of brought Catholicism to Ireland. And we're going to go over on how he did that.
So he was originally born into Roman Britain, right?
Roman British?
Yeah, it was
Roman Britain.
Roman Britain. Then he got kidnapped and then brought to Ireland when he was 16 years old.
Yeah, he was like basically kidnapped.
Yeah,
but snatched.
Abducted, yeah. But then he escaped and came back to Ireland, so
that's when he brought over Catholicism because the Romans are Catholic. So the Irish have observed this day as a religious holiday, obviously Catholicism, for about 1,000 years now. And St. Patrick's Day falls on, during the season of the Christian Lent. You guys know what Lent is? The four weeks, 40 days of like fasting and giving up something on,
I don't think you want to be trying. I think some people have tried fasting for 40 days and it didn't work.
No, well, like that's the old, like Jesus or whatever going out to desert and fasting for 40 days. But like everybody made that a thing and a custom later, that you give up something. So because he gave up food and whatever nourishment, so you give up something for Lent that you really like. Like for me, it would be like chocolate chip cookies. I will not eat chocolate chip cookies for the 40 days, which is really sad. And I think on like Fridays, you eat fish or something. You can't eat meat. That's what my mom said. We're Roman Catholic, whatever.
Would you survive for 40 days without cookies?
I don't know. Well, I said chocolate chip cookies. I didn't say I couldn't have other cookies.
Oh, okay. So just chocolate chip cookies are forbidden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Irish families would traditionally attend church and in the morning, and then they would celebrate in the afternoon for St. Patrick's Day.
So also on St. Patrick's Day during Lent, those religious rules would kind of be waived, so people could dance and enjoy. They'd be able to actually eat meat on St. Patrick's Day because I think the holiday for St. Patrick's Day forgoes the Catholic. No,
it's together, so it's a celebration, right? So like you do all your like pietous stuff in the morning, and you do everything leading up to that. But then like on St. Patrick's Day, in the afternoon, you dance, you drink, you feast. And usually people do like Irish bacon and cabbage. If you guys do like corned beef, that's an American thing actually.
Right, corned beef came from the Irish immigrants who they were kind of impoverished and didn't have a lot of money. So when they wanted to celebrate, they would buy the surplus corned beef from the Navy, and then they would cook it with cabbage and kind of boil it to get rid of some of the salt so that they could actually eat it and it wouldn't be too salty. That's where they boiled it with cabbage. That's where it came from.
So, if you guys didn't know, St. Patrick obviously is no longer with us because they believe that he died on March 17 in 461. So, that's a really long time ago, but also this is like his death day, which is kind of morbid, but there's a mythology that is surrounding his life that became even more ingrained in Irish culture. And that's the legend of St. Patrick's which is like the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It uses three of the leaves of the native Irish clover. The shamrock.
So I think that was probably a really good way that he brought Catholicism to the Irish people, just by saying the three leaves of the clover represent Holy Son, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
What kind of? He's half Irish. What kind of half Irish guy are you?
Nah, a not practicing one, obviously. You can see it in the beard today. It's actually really
red.
So.
It's really red. Would you say it's a fire beard?
For the most part.
Can I light it on fire?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, don't do that though. So when was the first St. Patrick's Day celebrated?
So the first St. Patrick's Day was celebrated 1601 by the Spanish colony, which was located in St. Augustine, Florida. The Irish vicar Ricardo Artur decided that he would celebrate the very first St. Patrick's Day in honor of St. Patrick's, who he was also the patron saint of Ireland? This is really
it is.
Yeah,
he's literally the official like guy that Irish people have chosen to represent them as a people
and their religion.
Yeah.
So about 100 years later, some homesick Irish sailors in the English military did a parade in New York City in 1772 to honor the Irish patron saint. The enthusiasm for that now goes from New York, Boston, and other early American cities, only grew and kind of took over from there. Now it's celebrated worldwide. So
yeah, even in like, where'd you say, Japan and like
Australia.
Australia I could get, but Japan? Why would the Japanese like represent Irish?
I mean, Japanese
Catholicism, but they don't even have that big of a Catholic following there. I mean, there is, but not like huge.
But Japan is really big on American holidays, and I mean, they do the Christmas thing, even though it's not a Christian nation. And they do the fried chicken.
Not for St. Patrick's Day.
No, they do it for Christmas.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then St. Patrick's Day, they probably do like green,
like corned beef and like cabbage stew or something.
Maybe.
Because actually, their katsu, the fried pork cutlet, that already has cabbage on it. All they have to do is change that to corned beef, and I'll eat a little curry. Who cares? Okay, so after that parade, there was like a huge surge of patriotism for immigrants, so American Irish people, and this was called the Irish Aid, like aiding somebody to help somebody, and Friendly Sons of St. Patrick and the Hibernian Society was created, and they would hold like parades with bagpipes, which you would think is like Scottish, but similar area. So they had that too. And it became popular with the Scottish and British armies because it's in the UK. And they also included drums.
So in 1848, up until 1848, all of these kind of celebrations were individual. And then in 1848, several of the New York Irish Aid Societies decided to unite it and make that the official parade for St. Patrick's Day. And today that parade is the oldest civilian parade and the largest in the United States, with over 150,000 participants.
That's a lot. I actually thought that Boston would have the biggest Irish population, but actually it's New York, and then it's Boston, and then it's Chicago.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia and Savannah.
Yeah. They all celebrated with parades with participants between 10 and 20,000. In 2020, New York City Parade was the first major city event to be canceled
because of the pandemic.
So that was the first
in all the years last year.
At least public city thing canceled. But.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk a little bit about Irish immigration into America?
Sure. Up until mid 19th century. Most of the Irish immigrants were like Protestant middle class, and had a pretty decent life. But then the potato famine in 1845 caused about 1 million immigrants who were very poor and uneducated
To like escape.
Yeah,
come
migrate
to
to America, and they were more Catholic than Protestant. So based on their religious beliefs and very strong accents and just kind of alienation to the culture, they were persecuted quite strongly, had very difficult times finding jobs, housings, and paying for anything.
Like the newspaper, like the media would portray them as like a cartoon version of like drunk monkeys, like drunk violent monkeys. Like, it's pretty bad.
Right. But eventually they started to realize with such a large number of people in the city like that, they were able to hold a very strong political power. This offered them some opportunities to change their living conditions, kind of to flex some regulations and move into a situation that would be more comfortable for them, and actually became very popular as a swing party vote who were looking for some strong support from different communities.
The voting bloc was known as the Green Machine. Okay, so actually, because of that and the politics of everything, you know how like America is run on politics. This actually showed strength behind their culture, and so a lot of people made it like a huge, almost not like it's an unsaid requirement. Like they made it so that it's like you kind of have to attend this St. Patrick's Day parades.
You want support?
Yeah, which is pretty like that's pretty awesome. Like to go from people like cartooning you in like really stereotypical racist things to like needing to go to a parade celebrating your country. That's like pretty cool. Even in 1948, President Harry S. Truman, he also attended the New York one, and to have the president go there, that like obviously means a lot. It was a proud moment, for all of the Irish people to be like finally accepted into the new world.
And then from there, a couple states and cities decided to expand their celebrations. Chicago actually dyes the river green, which started in 1962. They had dye that they would use in sewer systems to try and detect leaks, and they thought it would be a great idea to kind of celebrate St. Patrick's Day, which thematically is covered in green, and dumped about 100 pounds of vegetable dye into the river, which dyed it green for several days.
No, for a whole week.
Oh, for a whole week?
Yeah, and to be more specific, they actually took the this dye was used not just for leaks, but it's for pollution. So they used it to do this, but to combat the environmental damage, because 100 pounds is like that's a lot, and it's like nature you're pouring it into.
Even if it is vegetable dye.
But still, like it's unnatural, like it's processed vegetable dye. Anyway, 40 pounds now, so that's less than half of the dye is being used, and the river only turns green for like a few hours now. So they can still have their tradition, but it's not harming the environment. But this idea wasn't actually Chicago's. It was from Savannah, Georgia.
It claims to be from Savannah, Georgia, where back in 1813, back in 1961, a hotel restaurant manager decided to dye the river green.
In Savannah.
Right. The experiment didn't work as well as he thought, which only made it like a dark hue, not the pictures that we've seen of the Chicago River turning green is very bright and vivid. So, but I mean, it's still somebody who decided to dye a river green, and they claim that it was before the Chicago one, but obviously Chicago's is the biggest and probably longest run, or maybe not longest run, but the biggest one that we're aware of.
Yeah. So, all backgrounds pretty much celebrate St. Patrick's Day, especially throughout U.S., Canada, Australia. But like we mentioned earlier, it's also being celebrated in Japan, Singapore, and Russia. Who knew? Those Russians. But yeah, recipes include Irish to eat on the day of Irish soda bread. I've never had that before. I don't know how's that different from cornbread.
I think cornbread is usually made from cornmeal.
Yeah.
And
so
I think soda bread's still from flour, but I think it's the way they leaven it or they make it puffy, or may not be very puffy.
Or is it like
baking soda? I think that's what it means.
Okay.
So,
corned beef and cabbage, and champ. I don't know what champ is.
I don't know what champ is either. That's a new one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let us know in the comments what champ is if you know what it is. We're gonna find out eventually. Won't be either from you or our own research.
And then obviously people wear green. There was like a tradition at one point, like where you got pinched if you weren't wearing green or something. And
yeah, I was familiar with that.
A lot of people in my school, they would go around and do that shit. Like that's like
on a vendetta.
Well, I don't know. It's like it was a way to make people wear green. Otherwise, like even just like a green bow or something in your hair would prevent you from getting pinched. Because there were some sadistic kids out there who were like made sure their nails were all filed and stuff. They were mean. I was okay.
My eyes always had a little bit of green in it, so I would say
green eyes. That's cheating.
It's Irish. Oh, this I think is a really good time to kind of tangent off into the rumor that I brought this up and she didn't believe me, that there was a legend that says St. Patrick drove snakes out of Ireland. But from our research, it says that even through archaeological studies and things like that, no snakes have ever been even found, like in fossils or anywhere on Ireland. The last time there wasn't water around Ireland was even before the Ice Age happened. So if you think, from our research, if you think that St. Patrick drove snakes out of Ireland, there's never been snakes in Ireland at all.
Ever. Busted myth.
At least not naturally.
Yeah.
It was too cold.
So I guess, okay, in modern day Ireland, St. Patrick's Day was a religious occasion, obviously. However, in the 1970s, Irish laws mandated that the pubs be closed on March 17.
Well, it said up to the 1970s. So even before then, like this entire time, you could have the meat and your cabbage and dancing and things like that, but you weren't allowed to drink.
Yeah, but then in 1995, it was the 90s, the Irish government began a national campaign to use St. Patrick's Day as a way to drive tourism and showcase the culture to the rest of the world.
Basically bring more people in.
By drinking together and like having fun. You know, like that's like the easiest way for people to really get to know each other real fast. You know, you just like share a drink and you dance and tell stories and whatever, you know?
You market your culture to people and you tell them like, hey, come experience Ireland. This is what we do. But if you say, guess what? On our national holiday where we honor our patron saint, you can't drink. Kind of like a...
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to talk about the leprechaun? Because leprechauns are pretty, they're a really good icon associated with, Irish folklore.
Yeah, sure. Irish leprechauns came from the belief...
The name?
Oh, the name was Loberkin, meaning small-bodied fellow, and the belief in them came from Celtic beliefs in fairies. In fairy culture, the leprechauns
tiny men and women.
Yeah, in fairy culture, leprechauns would actually mend the shoes of the fairies, so they're rulers of the fairy world.
And they had magical powers, and they were good and bad. So you know how like there's good and bad fairies in like TV shows and stuff. All those are like derived from the tales of the leprechaun.
Yeah, but they didn't really have an affinity of good or evil. They could be both.
Yeah, they're like humans, whereas like you could choose to do good things or like be a bad person. I don't know.
So I think that's why they sometimes got a bad rap, and they'd always protect their infamous treasure that they had.
Yeah. Also in Celtic, is it Celtic or Celtic?
Celtic.
Celtic culture, they leprechauns were known to be like grumpy, cranky old souls.
Like you when you get hungry, huh?
Yeah, when I don't have my chocolate chip cookies.
So for 40 days, you're going to be grumpy.
Yeah. Even though I'm supposed to be like good and pious and whatever.
They were, though they were only minor figures in the folklore, they were also known for their trickery, for protecting their
leprechauns,
treasure. Yeah. They have their own holidays on May 13th. So in a couple months, you can actually celebrate Leprechaun's Day.
And dress up like fairies and just like go around and be like little Pucks. If you don't know who Puck is, he's a character from Midsummer Night's Dream. by Shakespeare, and he's like the most trouble. Like he's literally the epitome of trouble.
Like you.
No, I'm the sweetest little angel ever.
Of course, that
Yeah.
halo is held up by 2 horns sticking out of your head.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions, now is the time to ask us about St. Patrick's Day. That's kind of the quick rundown of what we learned about it, and yeah, man, go eat your fill of your soda bread and corned beef,
cabbage,
or Irish bacon. Oh my gosh, cooked in Irish butter, Kerrygold. Mmm.
Someone loves her Kerrygold, huh?
It's so good. That's my favorite butter. Well, besides homemade, like the whipped butter by like grandmas or something.
Right.
But I'm sure Kerrygold is made by Irish grandmas too. I don't know.
Maybe in a factory. I don't know how many Irish grandmas are in there, but hey, whatever floats. But they make a lot of butter. There's a lot of butter over here. So
yeah, and you can buy them in bulk. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And bake with it.
Is there anything else you wanted to do, or?
Also, if you are interested in adult TV shows, the show American Gods has a leprechaun in there. He's a big mofo, like really tall and jacked.
He contradicts the leprechaun stereotype greatly in many ways. Some ways he personifies it, but for the most part,
like I think he does. I think that's like what the true leprechaun is supposed to be like, because he's not a small person, but yeah.
He has attitude.
Yeah, he a cranky old man.
Yeah, if you like adult TV drama with some other things going on with
like otherworldly powers and stuff like that, that's a TV show.
But not too overdone. It's nice. It's very nicely done. It's good storytelling. Check it out.
And it's not a spoiler, but he's got some treasure too.
Of course. All leprechauns.
Okay. Well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it so that other people can learn about the history of, St. Patrick's Day and hopefully celebrate it with their families. I don't know, wear green, do a TikTok, who knows, and tag us so that we can see all the stuff that you've done and respond to it. All of our links are in the description below or on our channel pages.
And if you're not already, hit the subscribe button and meet us here again next Sunday around 1 o'clock, where we will either have a live stream or a video.
Or we might be camping and not have service, but we'll try anyway.
That's why we'll have a video. Either way, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.